So I've been trying to do things since I've been more home to spending quality time with my daughter and doing stuff, with my daughter. So we went fishing. I got my fishing license from Walmart. It was only like $15. And then I got her a fishing pole. I got me a fishing pole. We had to get earthworms, sinkers, all that. I remember going fishing with my grandfather. And then later on, I remember my ex boyfriend years ago, we went fishing and we ended up catching like three catfish. I felt some type of way when he caught them, but once he cleaned them and he sauteed them and cooked them, that was like the best catfish I've ever tasted. I remember the last time I went fishing with my ex husband. We were in Disney and we caught a fish. I caught a fish and I was screaming to the top of my lungs, and he got it off the line, and we just threw it back in. It was like, nah, fishing is just, because I don't know, maybe it's because we just thought it was like kind of gruesome to snag a fish. So anyway, I wanted to show my daughter like, okay, we're going fishing. So we went to Costa Park and we went. I got her a fishing pole. I got me a fishing pole. I hooked it up, and there was this guy there with his family, and he was kind of like trying to show me how my pole, my fishing rod is supposed to be. And so anyway, I had to cut the earthworms up with scissors because I'm like, oh my gosh, like these are earthworms. I'm like, oh my goodness, and you have to put them on a hook and stuff like that. So I'm still like, okay, Mona, you can do this, you can do this. So we cut the earthworms up, and I put it on the hook, and I cast my rod out. Symphony's rod was already cast out because we got her rod snagged a couple of times that I had to reline it or whatever you want to call it, rebait it and all that other stuff. So anyway, I saw that my line was tugging, and I was like, oh my goodness, we got something. So I wheel it in, and sure enough, we got a fish. And I'm like, oh, I'm so happy. And the fish was on and hanging. And then I just noticed when I was wheeling it in, like the look on this fish face, like, oh gosh, what's happening right now to me? What's going on? And I was too afraid to hold the fish to take the hook out. So you know what I did? I just put the entire fish in the cooler on the ice with the line, with the fishing rod and everything hanging off. I was like, I'm not about to do this. And then me and Symphony started to fish, and I couldn't help but think about this fish that's in there. Like I was just minding my business, and I got wheeled in. And maybe I'm just thinking it over. Maybe I'm just thinking it too much over. So the guy ended up coming back around with his family, and I asked him, I'm like, we caught a fish, but I need, could you take it off of the hook? So he grabbed it like it was nothing, and he took it off the hook. He said, oh yeah, catfish, and he put it back in there. He didn't mention anything. He didn't say anything. And I just thought about that catfish. And I think my daughter thought about that too. That was a very dramatic moment. We caught a fish, and the fish was alive, and she was checking on that fish and said, nope, it's dead. It's not breathing. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what in the world? So I get it. That's a whole part of fishing. I get it. I really get it. And so I thought about that fish all that night. At first, I was going to try to clean it off and look on YouTube, but I didn't even want to. I didn't even want to. And I honestly, when I first saw it, I knew it was a catfish. And if I knew how to take it off of the line, I probably would have threw it back in there. You know what I mean? I probably would have threw the fish back in the the what's name. So anywho, so I ended up like, okay, I just don't even want to clean it off or anything. So I called my grandmother and I asked her, I said, Nana, is it okay for me to put the fish in the freezer? And she was like, yeah, you can take care of it the next day or whatever. So I said, okay. So I put it in the freezer. Lo and behold, when I came downstairs, the freezer door was left open. So everything in it was thawed. Everything, ice cream, everything was thawed. I was like, oh my gosh. So my mom had came home and she went ahead and did something, and she put the fish in the other freezer. And I was still thinking like, okay, then that's gonna be okay. We'll just start out, and then I can just, scrape it off. Cause I feel bad. I feel like if you caught something, you need to eat it. You need to eat it, because other than that, it's just like, what was the whole purpose of you catching this fish? So I was already feeling bad about the fish. Then my mom tells me, she looks at the fish and she was like, that was a baby catfish. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it was a baby catfish. It was a fat baby catfish, but I'm like, oh my gosh. And so my grandmother, my Nana was just like, I'm like, Nana, that was a baby catfish. She said, so what? She said, so what? He can go in the pot too. And now I'm like, Ma, you just made me feel even more bad. Oh my gosh. You know what I really think? I really think that I have a gift of, I sense things with animals. And so I was literally trying to talk to myself yesterday, like literally like trying to prep talk like, Mona, cut the BS. Like it was a fish. Everybody goes out here and everybody fishes, okay? It's not that deep. You cut the earthworms up, you chop them into pieces to put them on a hook so you can catch the fish, and you caught one. And at first I'm like, okay, when you thinking, I was like, okay, it's a catfish. But it was just something about when that catfish came out of the water. It was just, I don't know why I sympathized with that catfish. And it was like, what's going on, trying to wrap his mind around things, wondering why it's not in water. So I'm like, okay, Mona, maybe you just really overthinking it. I'm overthinking it. One thing about men just do things. They just be like, what, man, put like the way that guy came over and grabbed it and took the hook out and put it back in like it was nothing. Like it was just a rock. And I was just like, okay. And then I was like, okay, I got to chop the head off of it. I got to skin it. I got to do all that. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much. I don't even think about it when I don't eat meat, but I do eat fish. But when I get fish, the head is already chopped off and everything else is already gutted out, is already split into two. I don't have to think about these things. And now I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm sorry, y'all. I know I'm freaking out, like, oh my God. I just honestly, I cannot eat that fish. And my mom was like, you know what? Just like natives do. If you're gonna kill something, you have to eat it. And sometimes when I don't want to, I just give it away. Who am I gonna give this daggone fish to? Who am I gonna give this baby fish to? I'm just so mad about this. I'm so mad about this situation. I mean, maybe it's not that serious. I mean, how am I gonna go fishing again? Maybe I'm just over exaggerating. I feel just bad. Okay, no, I can't feel bad about that, because you know what? My granddad taught me how to fish. But how was I even supposed? And I'm gonna tell you, so it was a fat. It was like a fat. I felt like it was a fat fish. And then my mom gonna tell me today. She gonna tell me today that it was a baby catfish. A baby catfish. Oh my gosh. She was like, catfishes get really. She said catfishes get really, really big. You know what? I need to get myself together for real. I'm sitting up here crying over a catfish. I shouldn't have killed it. I could have like, I gotta be brave and just next time just take the daggone thing and just do what you gotta do. Put it back in the daggone. Cause I'm not gonna lie. They took the trash out today. Whatever. Sorry, y'all. I just had a moment about a daggone catfish. All right, let me get myself together. It's a catfish. The crazy part about it is, the crazy part about it is, I wouldn't have cared if it was a crab. I'm sorry, but you going in the pot. I wouldn't have cared if it was so I don't know. I think at that moment when I think at that moment when I sensed that, I think at that moment I should have. Tiffany was just all happy. She was all happy. She was just like, "Oh, we got a fish. Put him on the ice." And I was trying to be excited too. Oh my god. And maybe my mom just made me feel even more worse when she was just like, I looked at that fish. That was a baby catfish. And I'm like, a baby catfish. That's a fat baby catfish, but it did look kind of young. When I think about it, it looked kind of young. I don't know. I don't want to gut it out and I don't want to eat it and I don't want to chop the head off of it. I know one thing, I'm not going to use those sinkers because those sinkers go down at the bottom, and I realized that they look for bottom feeders, like anything that's at the bottom, like a catfish. I mean, I don't want catfish. If you had a flounder looking, not even a flounder, but you know what I'm saying. If you had, I don't even know. I don't even know. I cannot even believe I'm sitting up here crying about a daggone catfish. They're still in the daggone freezer. Yeah, God, let me get myself together. But this is the lesson that I've learned. If it don't feel right, just throw it back in. It just didn't feel. I felt sad for it. I felt really compassionate for this catfish. And when I looked, I got one of them other hooks that was really deep. It was snagged so much. I didn't know how to get the daggone hook out of it. And the guy, when he came over, he just grabbed the fish, but it was already gone by then. And he just took it out like it was nothing and threw it back in. Was like, yeah, you got a catfish. And he wrote, I'm like, men are so like, they have such a braveness about them. They have such a, I don't know, because I know I just feel really bad about this catfish. I feel extremely bad about this catfish. Oh, anywho. All right, so let me just get myself together because I'm over here like in tears about some dang on catfish. Next time I'm just going to be brave and take the hook out of the mouth and toss that thing back into the daggone toss that thing back into the pond. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. I guess I was so excited about catching something in front of Symphony that I wasn't even thinking like, you know what I mean? Like I understand that it's certain fish that if it's too small, you have to put it back in it. But that fish was heavy. That fish was heavy. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when I saw it was a catfish, I didn't want it. And but I didn't know how to get the hook out. Like I was like, okay, next time I just need to know what to do. I need to know what to do. She was like, "You gonna have to eat that fish," and I'm like, "You don't gotta tell me what to do. Like I know what to do." I'm so sorry, y'all. I know y'all like Mona. Are you really emotional about a catfish? Yeah, man. I could have kept that thing as a pet. Anyway, that's just life. You learn. You learn. I even had to tell myself, Mona, you need to chill because Jesus ate fish. Remember, he was on the boat with when he told them to cast their nets on the other side, and they caught all them fish. What you think they did with the fish? I'm like, all right, okay, Mona, you just need to get it. I need to do more out in the wilderness type stuff so I can not be so sensitive about catching a daggone fish. Anyway, so I think that it was just I had a choice to let it go, but I chose to ignore it and let it die in the ice thing. And then I knew I didn't realize you have to clean it, you have to gut it and do all of this and eat it, right? Now I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do all that. Then it's the whole principle is of you don't kill something and then not eat it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But I just ask God for forgiveness. Like if I'm not feeling it, it's going in the trash can. And I need to look up some YouTube channels to figure out how to clean fish and all that other type of stuff. You gotta have the stomach for that. I guess again, I'm not attached when it comes to crabs. I can't say that for fish. I'm not attached either, but some people keep fish as pets and stuff. It was something about that fish. I just felt like I can sense what it was feeling, not feeling, but I can sense it. And I was just like, just put it in the thing and we'll just let it die and then that's good. Then when I looked in there, it was like you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. That was very dramatic for me. It was just not dramatic, but it was very sensitive for me. So fishing is not my thing. I will try it again. I don't want that to go to waste. And my daughter now she's just like mommy, and I'm like, but if we ever see any catfish, we throwing it right back. I don't care if it's a king catfish. Get it off my line. And my mom, I was already feeling so bad about it. Y'all gotta understand. I was already feeling so bad about this catfish. I was like knowing this down there in the freezer. I even mentioned to Tiffany, we may have to throw it in the trash. What? What for? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you really want to go and fry this thing up? And I was already feeling bad about it. And my mom says when she went to take that fish, when she went to take the fish, it was already wrapped up. So she must have unwrapped it and looked at it and said, oh, this was a baby catfish. And she said, you know, that was a baby catfish, which I'm glad she told me because if we ever go down there again, which we will, and fish, I know what not to touch because it's not developed. That thing was big though. Let me tell you, that catfish was this big. It was this big. It was fat too. She said catfish can be like this. And I'm like, how was I supposed to know? I'm like, Mom, why did you try to tell me it was a baby catfish? No wonder why I was feeling some type of way because it was a baby catfish. You know, okay, I need to relax. I need to relax. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. You know, at least, you know, a lot of people got a lot of issues out here. One of my main issues right now is that catfish that I caught. I was thinking about a lot of stuff. That movie Big Fish. I'm like, that was a big fish and it took that man's ring. But if I could turn the hands, if I can go back in time, I would have let that catfish go. Anyway, um, so I think that's the reason why I'm feeling it is because I I didn't know, but I felt some type of way when I caught the fish. I felt it was big. I felt like, you know, this is a fat, juicy fish, you know. But I knew it because of the little whiskers that it's a catfish. And the guy didn't say anything when he took the hook out. He didn't say, oh, this is a baby catfish. He was like, catfish. And my mother was like, no, it might not have been a baby fish, but it was, you could still tell that it was not a grown fish. I guess she was trying to like make me feel bad. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And my grandmother, I love her. She said, so what? He's still gonna go in the pot too. I was like, Nana, Nana, it was a baby, it was a baby catfish. So what? He gonna go in the pot too. Anyway, y'all, let me get off of here because I'm just doing too much. Anyway, so if you go fishing, y'all look, y'all probably the ones. Some of y'all pros out there be fishing like, girl, please. We saute that fish down and we have it's a good time. I ain't got there yet, but let me get back to business. Anyway, y'all have a great day today.